Today, we're breaking down one of the biggest geopolitical shifts in a long time. The moment Iran and Israel went from fighting in the shadows to a direct, open war. So, how on earth did we get here?
I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? Missiles streaking across the sky, entire cities on high alert. But this isn't fiction. This is the very real culmination of a conflict that's been simmering for decades and has finally, well, boiled over.
For so long, this was a fight that happened behind the scenes, in the shadows. So the crucial question, the one we're here to answer, is what finally dragged it out into the light. What was the breaking point?
To really get what's happening today, we've got to rewind the clock, way back. Because this story doesn't actually start with a missile, it starts with a revolution. And wow, this slide really just lays it out, plain and simple. Before 1979, Iran and Israel weren't enemies. In fact, Iran's government at the time saw Israel as a strategic partner. But then the Iranian Revolution happened, and that new leadership, well, its entire ideology was based on the idea that Israel shouldn't even exist. That single event flipped the entire script, turning potential allies into sworn enemies. And that's when the silent war began.
So for years and years, they weren't lining up armies on a battlefield. Nope. Instead, they played this incredibly complex and deadly game of chess all across the Middle East. Let's take a look at how this whole shadow war actually worked.
Okay, the key to understanding this shadow war is this term right here, proxy war. It's basically a way to fight your enemy by arming their enemies. You get to do damage, all without triggering a direct, all-out war. It's kind of like a fight by remote control, and it's incredibly dangerous. And this is a perfect illustration of how Iran waged its shadow war. By funding and arming groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Palestine, Iran could put pressure on Israel and even carry out attacks without getting its own fingerprints directly on the trigger, so to speak. Of course, Israel hit back with its own covert ops and airstrikes against these very groups.
So, for a long time, this proxy back and forth was the name of the game. But then, one issue popped up that took the tension from just a regional power struggle to something far more serious.
Yup, this right here was the absolute game changer. The moment Israel became convinced that Iran was secretly trying to build a nuclear bomb, the entire nature of the conflict changed. A proxy war is one thing, but an enemy with a nuke, that's something else entirely.
And you really have to see this from Israel's point of view. For them, a nuclear-armed Iran isn't just another strategic problem on the board. It's seen as a direct threat to their very survival. This one fear is what drove so many of those covert actions we saw, the cyber attacks, the assassinations, that just kept cranking up the tension year after year.
All right, so let's trace this final explosive path to open war. As you can see here, after decades of these proxy fights, the 2020s saw a major escalation. Way more aggressive cyber attacks, more assassinations. The shadow war was, well, getting a lot less shadowy. And then, in 2026, they finally crossed the line for good.
An Israeli strike was met with a totally unprecedented response from Iran. All of a sudden, we're talking about massive airstrikes, missile barrages, drones filling the skies. And just like that, the shadows were gone. For the very first time, they were fighting each other directly, and all those unspoken rules of the game, they were completely shattered.
And suddenly, this conflict wasn't just about Iran and Israel anymore. The moment this fight spilled out into the open, the rest of the world had no choice but to sit up and pay very close attention.
And this is why it matters to, well, everyone. Key global oil routes were immediately in jeopardy. Financial markets, which absolutely hate instability, started to shake, and the world's superpowers were all forced to start calculating their next moves, maybe even pick a side. What started as a regional war was now sending shockwaves across the entire globe. Okay, after seeing all of this, all the escalation, all the fallout, it's easy to get lost in the details. So let's just pull back for a second and simplify. What is this war really about?
When you strip everything else away, this whole conflict boils down to three fundamental things. First, you've got this deep ideological hatred born all the way back in that 1979 revolution. Second, there's that existential fear of nuclear weapons. And third, it's a raw, head-on struggle for who gets to be the dominant power in the Middle East.
And that's exactly why this isn't just another conflict. When two enemies who've been fighting in the shadows for so long finally come out into the open like this, it's never just one battle. It's a fundamental shift in the entire geopolitical landscape.
it really is a turning point, not just for the Middle East, but for the world.
Which leaves us with the most unsettling question of all. Was this the peak of the conflict, or was it just the end of the beginning? It really feels like we've just started a brand new, and honestly, a much more dangerous chapter. Thanks for digging into this with me.